What's going on, guys? You're listening to WSOU. I am Nick, and I am here with Chris from Ancress. What's going on, dude?
Not much, good sir. About to talk to you.
Of course. And so you just mentioned you got a tattoo. What'd you get? Got to find out.
Just wrapping up some work on my right leg sleeve, so it's not done by any means. Just did a lot of black work on some feathers. It's a whole Lucifer being cast down by Michael, full leg sleeve, so it's going to take a couple more sittings or 10, but chipping away at it. But definitely, obviously, wanted to make sure we talk today.
Oh, for sure. And now we'll definitely be talking a lot about art because of a lot of the stuff with the band, which I found very, very interesting when I read about it. So I want to definitely get some insight. But definitely the most important is that you've got some new music coming out about a month from now, Victoria Jeiunium. Did I pronounce that right?
Yep, close enough.
So give me a little bit about the backstory, because I know what I read about it is very, very interesting, and I want to kind of hear your take.
Sure, man. So basically, when we started, Brandon and I used to be in a couple other bands in Toronto, one of them being Villepend, which had a little notoriety on a label called 8289, and Brandon used to be in a band called Titan, the Canadian one, and we got together. We just really wanted to not just write some songs about whatever and put them out, but have like very planned out concepts and ideas that were kind of hidden, so people can some people can follow along if they just want to enjoy the music for what it is and scream along at the screaming parts. That's cool, but if they want to dig a little deeper, they can dig a little deeper. So instead of a lot of bands will pick a movie or a book or something if they want to do anything conceptual. And I'm a big fan of a painter called Władysław Baksinski. And the really cool thing about him is that he refused to talk about his paintings or name them or give any real insight other than just the art. So if you're looking for something to inspire you or for something to write about, it just is like there's nothing. It's pure in that it's only the image. So lyrically in Ancress, we're doing kind of a 4 EP quadrilogy, which is 2 full records now because our dollars in the toilet. So right. four one-sided 12-inch is turned into 2 full-sided records, but yeah. So every song that for this cycle for all the records, this one and our next is based on, and each song is based on an individual work by Baksinski.
Okay.
So there's that correlation. So like if people just want to like listen to the music, and if I did my job properly, they can listen to it, enjoy it for what it is, and scream along at the screamy parts. And if someone had a bad relationship or a bad day, or like attribute their own feelings to it. Like it's not like a typical conceptual thing where it's very like the path is laid out where you're following the dragon into the cave and you're going to battle him.
Right.
But if people look a little deeper and they discover the painting, it all ties together, and there's added depth. So that's one of the artistic things we really planned out from the beginning. And another is, with this record, we really put a lot of time and energy and money into finding the right artist and doing all original art, because obviously we can't use Baksinski's work in our LPs or anything.
Right.
So there's a artist out of England named or out of Britain. Well, that's England, right?
Yeah.
Named he goes by the handle Alex CF, and I don't know, you may know some of the bands. He used to be in Fall of the Fephra,
right?
Lightbearer, The Archivist, I believe, is his current project. And he is an incredibly talented artist, and we went to him. We gave him all the music, gave him all the stuff, all the Beksinski images, and he was like, all right, if I do this, I want full control over all four. Like, I want to do all four records and all the inside, and I don't want anyone messing up. And we were like, you're the dude. So so we're cramming basically 2 releases worth of art into a single release to still kind of get our 4-part quadrilogy concept out there. And
right.
it's basically, it's a take on the 4 horsemen mythos of the apocalypse, but, you know, instead of being like death, war, famine, you know, it's metal and all, but it's a little blunt. So we just found like different translations. Like Victoria comes across as conquest. Jeiunium means famine. Those are the first 2 EPs on the first record.
Okay. And
then the next record will also be 2 EPs, 2 sides. Will be Bellum, which is war, and Ocasis, which is so. There's a lot of different art being worked on, and a lot of different concepts being worked on in the music, and it's not just lyrically, like that is inspired by Beksinski. Like, some of the tracks were just inspired by the art as well. So it's a really art heavy concept in record, and as I said, like it's a one vinyl release, right? But we're spending extra and cramming like 2 albums worth of art into like this single release, basically.
Okay.
So I think that basically covers all our artistic endeavors at the moment, I believe.
Now, give me a little bit of background, because I found that very interesting, how you're writing kind of based off of a painting. How does that process work? You just kind of like, how do you write a song about a painting? Like, what's your thought process on that?
Well, like I said, when we were, like, Brandon and I first got together and started working on Ancress, we kind of wanted to, we all been in different bands for years, and we wanted to make this band the band where we do all the things we wanted to do, and that we didn't before for whatever reason, whether it was too difficult at the time or didn't fit the band or people weren't into it or whatever. So obviously, one of the things was to have very, very layered release, not just audio-wise, but stuff that ties together and runs throughout multiple releases without being absurdly pretentious. I mean, of course, we're slightly pretentious for trying this. And instead of a book, books are pretty easy, I think, conceptually, because you can take words or passages or whatever, or just, summarize a book and write a record about it. And same with a movie, like look at a band like Graf Orlok, who I think are amazing. They've used nothing but dialogue from movies as their lyrics, right? Which is brilliant.
Yeah.
But we wanted to try to do something, again, just find our own take on it and just see how pretentious we could be. So yeah, in my previous band, as I mentioned, I was in a band called Villepend, and we were on A389 and had a little traction, but that was more like, I guess, I don't want to say typical hardcore lyrics or metal hardcore, whatever, but it was like, very poetic stuff about my life, or, just, stuff that fits the music, stuff you expect from a band, I guess, that's playing kind of aggressive music. And for this one, when we started, it just, writing lyrics like that just did not fit. It didn't fit the music, didn't fit, it just claimed, it didn't feel right. So we discussed it, and I was a big fan of the painter, Beksinski, and his story. Just did a lot of research on him, like more so than just like, hey, I like your paintings, looked into his past, like went through like all his work that I could find, period. And was like, I think I can do this. I think we can make this work. I can easily find 20 pieces of art he did that I think will, work or whatever. And, basically, you just try to go into it, like put all your stuff aside. I'm there for the writing process. I contribute ideas and stuff. And, so I'm there for the writing process, and you kind of like get a feel for the song, and you can start thinking about which painting fits that feel or mood or whatever. And then, just in terms of the writing, it's just like, we'll have the finished song, do the classic band rehearsal demo. And, I'll work on it, jot down whatever the painting inspires in me, while I listen to the song over and over again, and see, like, try to, a lot of them are a lot of Beksinski's works are very, it is kind of like dystopian surrealism. So, whatever my brain would make up for the story for that piece of art or whatever, or, lines or thoughts, and then just kind of work it into something and go for there. And like I said, if I do it properly, any listener can still like follow along without feeling they have no room to interpret it in their own way or connect with it, because that's the worst thing you can do, is write a song that basically leaves no room for interpretation or gives a listener a chance to like connect and make it their own. Like, right. So as I said, like, if I did it right, all the screamy parts, kids can scream along to if they're still inclined. They can make it their own. But, as I said, if they put the effort in or whatever, and find the art it's based on, it, should deepen the experience. And we're fans of stuff like that, But yeah, just the writing process. It's actually very different, and I would say almost easier than writing overly personal, poetic lines where you're trying not to be cliche, but you're writing about whatever in a poetic way with lots of allusions. Whether it's your breakup or classic hardcore lyrical fare,
right.
But yeah, I found it actually very freeing, because you have this visual, like, the old cliche, a picture is worth a thousand words.
Right. Yeah.
So I have the music, and I have, the piece of art, and together it's just, you find the one that just feels right, and, and just kind of go from there. But it's actually been a really neat exercise in trying to, balance it so people can not feel like they're being told everything, and can still make the song their own, and connect with it and scream along with it, while also basing it on something that's an actual work.
True. Now, is this, like you mentioned, it's going to be a multi disc release. Have you recorded everything, or only the first half so far?
The first half is recorded and comes out November 19th on Hypotherial Records. It's a cheap plug. And we've got probably half of the next EP written, and we kind of planned out each EP like how we wanted. Like, the first one was just going to be kind of us punching you in the face as our introduction. The second EP was going to be a little, we have a 9-minute song on there, that's more cycling and slow, and we kind of had a theme almost musically for each EP. And the third one, we're gonna kind of push what we can do technically and in terms of heaviness, and the final one might just be this huge long noise track for both sides. We haven't really figured that one out yet, but yeah, it's just one of those things, man. Like, I think a lot of bands are afraid to just try to plan things out, and you start at the beginning, and you talk about shit, and you just kind of like plan it out, and it works. Like, you can do anything you want in a band. It's your band, right?
Exactly.
You can write any type of music you want. You can write any type of weird conceptual things you want. You just kind of have to plan it.
Oh,
and
for
a
sure,
lot of musicians aren't too great at planning. They're good at the left side of the brain, right? I think it's the left side, the creative one, but not so good on the scheduling and planning one.
But what I think is interesting, I don't know if you've thought about it, but it just kind of popped into my head. What if is there the possibility of maybe doing like an art show concert where you guys play pieces and then have like the actual artwork like throughout, like I think that would be a cool idea.
Yeah, definitely. Like the original intent was to I guess try to go like a Neurosis Light route and have a projector, and for each song the piece of art would be projected, and it would change with each track, so you'd get that. And I bought a projector and it didn't work. And we've kind of just been kind of got away from the projector idea and putting the art up. But it's definitely something where we initially tried to do, or at least thought about doing, and it would be really cool to do in a live environment, and just, got to figure out the tech and that kind of stuff while we're still putting on a show where we're, all freaking out and jumping in, not destroying gear. Projectors aren't that sturdy.
Yeah.
It's one of those things where it's like, how many things can I juggle triggering while still like freaking out and being a front man and all that kind of thing. There's a reason Neurosis had a dedicated like guy just to do their visuals.
Very true. Very true.
But yeah, no, we're definitely into it, and I guess we might do something like that for a record release show up here, or in the future it might become kind of a part of the show if we ever iron out the technical aspects of it.
Right. Okay. So now, what's the touring situation looking like?
Touring situation is we're currently planning European jaunt.
Okay.
Because as Brandon's old band Titan, not the American one, the Canadian one.
Right.
They went to Europe a couple times, and so we're planning that out. Trying to get booking ourselves on the underground, the bigger underground fests, and then you can fill stuff in a way you can't in America. You can play anarchist squats, and people will actually be there, and so it's feasible as long as you put the time and effort and planning into getting there.
Right.
Canada, we've already, with the record coming, we're going to be playing out a lot more. But as you know, Canada is a very large place with large drives in between. I'll tell, American band will come up and we'll be like, yeah, it's 6 hours to Montreal. And we'll be like, oh my God, 6 hours. We've done like 12 to 24 hour drives straight to get to like Halifax or something.
That's crazy.
We'll be playing out more with the record in Canada. In terms of the States, as you know, America is just very saturated with bands. So, it's on the agenda to come up there, but it's not something I would put us into on by ourselves. Mm-hmm. Like the plan is kind of to get the record out and try to make some American friends who perhaps would like to do a run with us in the States, and we could easily reciprocate by, Canadian shows. Like a couple of years ago when I was in the aforementioned Villepen, we went out with a very, well-known in the underground band called Mika's Murder.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And I think Mika's Murder are just great, and to me, they're one of those bands that are a total package, and it always boggles my mind that someone hasn't gobbled them up, because they're great. But yeah, we went out with Mika's Murder, who had already at the time toured the U.S. A couple times, had an ex-Red Chord member, had some videos, and it was still a struggle, like us, like Villepen and them, to, still a struggle to play good shows and book good shows. So just learning from that experience, going up as a relatively unknown Canadian band would not be that smart. So definitely looking to come to the States, but looking to do it with hopefully a States band, so we're not doing the bar staff tour.
Yeah, no, I feel you. That's the worst.
I mean, we've all done them. We've all played those shows.
That's true.
At this point, it's kind of like we know better. So,
Right.
you know, we're not going to book a tour just to say, oh yeah, we're going to play the States and then like lose $4,000 and play to like the bar staff most of the shows. Like, we're going to make sure we go out with someone up there, and, you know, obviously we can make stuff happen here and that. But yeah, that's kind of the touring situation. But yeah, we'll definitely be going to Europe next year, and I don't know, we could be in the States sooner rather than later. It all just depends on who's interested and the connections I can make, and, you know, kind of like that.
Right.
I still know some people.
Okay. And now I also wanted to just mention too, because it seems like there's a big push for this on vinyl. What's kind of your thoughts on vinyls these days with you know, coming back into the mainstream almost? Like, the last like year I've really gotten really into it, and I just find it very fascinating that, you know, in the era of streaming and whatnot, that vinyl is still going really, really strong.
Yeah, I mean, vinyl made a huge comeback to the point where, you know, every major label decided to start re-releasing stuff on vinyl. It was actually funny because it was all the indie labels that kept the vinyl industry alive.
Right.
And then Record Store Day started, and eventually, you know, all the major labels were like, yeah, let's start reissuing our back catalogs on vinyl. And then all the indie labels got pushed to the side and would have to wait.
Right.
And, you know, it makes sense financially. Like, are you going to turn down 5,000 LPs to do 300? Like,
yeah.
No, of course not. But, like, you know, that would just be poor business. But I think it's, like we're putting the record out on a vinyl-only label. Of course, there's, like, Hypotherial is vinyl only. But of course, there's like digital download that comes with the record, or you can just get the digital download if you don't have a record player. But I think people are into it because I think it's just something very tangible and very, you could just pack so much art into a record that you can pack a ton into CDs, of course, but it just doesn't, it's not as big. It doesn't come out the same. Like, a vinyl is just kind of almost like, just something like properly done vinyl with proper art. It can be something you just be like, just a very beautiful piece to own. And that's why a lot of collectors are into it, because like sonically, like, music sounds better digitally or on CD. Like, there's no real, if you do the, like, you go online and read comparisons and all the tech breakdowns, there's, you know, like, there's no, like, vinyl has some issues, and there's also like frequency issues, and, you know, like, if you want the best audio experience, you download a WAV file and you know, good headphones, and bam. But I think just vinyl is just, it's something tangible, and it's something that, you know, it's kind of I don't want to use the hip word, but it is, in a way. It's like, people like to collect vinyl in a way that they don't want to collect CDs. It's also kind of similar to the tape situation in you know, grindcore or more extreme music. People are making tapes now more than ever. Like, we did a limited tape run of first EP, Victoria, just to have music on the table when we started playing, because the worst thing you can do as a band is start playing and not have music on the table.
Yeah,
in this day and age, if people want to buy something from you, you better damn well have something to sell them, because they can very easily get it for free.
For sure, yeah.
So we did a limited tape run on a Canadian label called No List Records, and we'll probably do tape runs for the entire thing. But for each EP, we'll do a limited tape run just to make it kind of interesting for people if they want to collect it. But there's just something, you know, the CD is kind of a dying medium.
Yeah.
Unless you're in radio, because radio always wants them. So
very
do
true.
Like a special
very
pricing for radio.
Yeah.
But I don't know. It's just something about vinyl people really enjoy, and I think a lot of that probably has to do with the art that you can like cram in there. and maybe the nostalgia factor. I mean, nostalgia is emotional heroin, and
Right.
a lot of people are hooked on it, or maybe just collecting.
True. All
But
right.
yeah, I mean, like, that's one of the things, like putting a record out on a vinyl only label. Same with, and that's not even that new. Like a couple of years ago when my old band Villapen put out a record on A389. A389 were only doing vinyl and digital, and then we did like a limited deluxe CD
Okay.
with all the art up here again on no list. But like a lot of labels are going vinyl only, even though vinyl is a lot more expensive
Oh,
to
yeah.
press and make and all that. But people are it moves better than say CDs, obviously, especially like if you have a full length,
Oh yeah.
as
Definitely.
opposed to like a 7-inch or whatever.
Oh yeah. Definitely though. All right. That's all I've got. You got anything you want to add?
I don't think so. I think we had a good conversation there.
That we did.
Our record, Victoria Jeiunium, is coming out on November 18th on Hypotherial Records. We already had a song premiere go up, I think, and we have 2 videos that have been shot. One will be premiering on Cult Nation closer to the release date, and I encourage everyone to buy it because it's an amazing record. No. Yeah, it's just, we're going the extra mile. We're jamming like two releases worth of art into this. We're trying to make it really special, just even beyond the conceptual stuff and the music, which is obviously the most important thing and the first thing for any band. Write good music, or at least write what you want to write, play what you want to play. But beyond that, just trying to make the vinyl extra special. So pre-order is already up on the Hypotherial Bandcamp, which I encourage everyone to search online and then go and check it out. And we'll be coming to the States. We'll be going to Europe. We'll be doing all that. And we're kind of a new band in a way where people haven't heard us before because, we all kind of came together as Ancress only a year or 2 ago, but we've all been in bands, like, as I mentioned, Villapen, Titan, our bassist, Scott, was in a band who toured the States a couple times called Isosceles Project. Our drummer, because he's a drummer, is in 5 different bands, of course. And he's been doing this, and he's toured the States and stuff. I think he just did a recent tour with a grind band called Toad that he's in. And so we're all kind of, I don't want to say old hands, but we all kind of, we've been doing this for a little while, so we're not just a brand new band. Well, we're a brand new band, but with people who've, got a little experience under our belts, and we're hoping to use that to, A, give people the best audio and B, visual expression of what we're writing that we can.
Oh yeah, definitely. Well, I want to thank.
And hopefully that comes across.
Oh, yeah, for sure. And I want to thank you so much for your time too. I really appreciate talking to you.
Oh, thank you, man. Anytime. I appreciate your interest. Hopefully, you dig the record, and I thank you for taking the time to interview me.
Of course.
And the interest in the band or playing the music or whatever. It's very appreciated.
Yeah, of course, man. All right. Well, thank you again so much.
Cool. Thanks.